For today's camera comparison, we have the brand new Samsung Galaxy S22 and the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, this is the cheapest Samsung Galaxy S22 that you can buy, so this is the regular version of this device. For the front-facing cameras, the maximum recording resolution on the Samsung Galaxy S22 is 4K at 60 frames per second, where the maximum recording resolution on the Pixel 6 Pro is 4K at 30 frames per second. And for this recording, we are doing 4K at 30 frames per second with both devices. As you can see, I'm also switching the audio from one device to the other one, just so you can get a feel about those internal microphones and how they capture sound. Today is a super sunny day, but also a bit windy, so you may hear some wind aside from my voice. But this resolution, so 4K at 30 frames per second, both devices support image stabilization as well. And I'm also gonna run for a bit so you can see how that works. Alright, so let's start by checking out some pictures that I took during the day, and I guess we'll start with some zoom pictures. Alright, so for zoom pictures, I've done 5x zoom and 10x zoom, mostly because we have telephoto lenses on the back of both devices and I wanted to see what they can actually do. The first pictures that you're seeing on your screen right now are 5x zoom pictures, and here for a couple of pictures the S22 seems to do better because the pictures are a bit sharper, but then for a couple of other pictures the Pixel 6 Pro does seem to do better. So for 5x zoom pictures, not that big of a difference between these two devices, so I can't really say that one is better than the other one. Next, we're moving on to 10x zoom pictures, and here you're gonna see a massive difference. So every single picture that I took with the Pixel 6 Pro seems to be much better than the same picture that I took with the Samsung Galaxy S22. So for 10x zoom pictures, there is really no comparison in between the two. The Pixel 6 Pro does better in every single picture. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some portrait mode pictures that I took with both these devices. Not that long ago, whenever you take a portrait mode picture with the Pixel device, well, that used to be the best portrait mode picture that you're gonna see. Well, that is not the case anymore, mostly looking at the pictures that I took with the S22 and the Pixel 6 Pro. First of all, the edge detection in those pictures is way better from the S22 when compared to the Pixel 6 Pro. The edge detection in those pictures taken by the Pixel 6 Pro almost looks worse than a budget Chinese phone, I'm gonna say. So very disappointing to see that. As for colors, once again, the S22 does much better in every single picture. So for portrait mode pictures, there is no comparison in between these two. The Samsung Galaxy S22 does much better than the Pixel 6 Pro. Moving on to pictures taking the ultra-wide cameras on the back of the two devices, well, the first thing you will notice here is how much wider the lens on the back of the S22 is compared to the lens that we have on the back of the Pixel 6 Pro. So you can see way more in those pictures taken by the S22. For picture sharpness, it seems that the S22 does better in every single picture, but for color accuracy, I kind of prefer the colors that we get from the Pixel 6 Pro. But what do you guys think about these ultra-wide pictures? Do you prefer the ones taken by the S22 or by the Pixel 6 Pro? Definitely leave a comment and let me know. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some pictures that I took with the main cameras on the back of the two devices. Of course, all the pictures are taken on auto mode and about a second apart from each other. The first thing you will notice here is how much wider the main camera on the back of the S22 is compared to the camera that we have on the back of the Pixel 6 Pro. The main camera is almost as wide as the ultra-wide camera that we have on the back of the Pixel 6 Pro. Now, of course, looking at the pictures that I took with the main cameras, I can't really say that one is so much better than the other. And for certain pictures, the S22 does better, but for certain pictures, the Pixel 6 Pro does better. Now, I did notice that the dynamic range in most pictures taken by the 6 Pro is a bit better than what we get in the pictures taken by the Galaxy S22. So for that, it seems that the Pixel has the edge. For colors, in some pictures the S22 does better, in some pictures the Pixel 6 Pro does better. So for pictures taken with the main cameras, I feel that they're somewhat equal, and it depends on the situation. In some situations one does better, in some situations the other one does better. So for the main cameras, about the same, I'm gonna say. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some pictures that I took at night with both devices. Of course, both devices support the night mode for the main cameras and for the ultra-wide cameras. I did notice, however, that the Pixel 6 Pro takes longer to take those nighttime pictures when compared to the S22. So you have to hold your hand steadier for a longer period of time on taking pictures on the Pixel 6 Pro when compared to the S22. So of course that means that a lot of pictures aren't gonna be as sharp as the pictures that you're gonna take with the S22. So looking at the pictures that I took with the main cameras and of course that night mode, even though the Pixel 6 Pro has the somewhat brighter pictures, at least some of them are a bit brighter, it seems that the Galaxy S22 has the sharper pictures. So every single picture taken with the main camera and the night mode from the S22 is way sharper than the exact same picture that I took with the Pixel 6 Pro. So I'm gonna say that for the main camera and the night mode, the Samsung Galaxy S22 does better. But what do you guys think? Do you prefer the ones from the S22 or the ones from the Pixel 6 Pro? Moving on to the ultra-wide cameras and of course the night mode, the same kind of goes here as well. So even though some of the pictures taken by the Pixel 6 Pro are a bit brighter, overall the pictures from the S22 are sharper and better quality. So if I would have to choose one for the ultra-wide camera and the night mode, I feel that the S22 does better. So for nighttime pictures with the main camera and the ultra-wide camera, the Samsung Galaxy S22 is the clear winner, at least in my eyes. But what do you guys think? Do you prefer the ones from the S22 or the Pixel 6 Pro? Definitely leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some sample video recordings that I've done during the day and at night. First of all, here it seems that the sound captured by the S22 is better, so the internal microphones inside the S22 seem to work better than the ones that we have on the Pixel 6 Pro. For colors, the S22 does better in all recordings, I'm gonna say. As for image stabilization, well, in some of those videos the S22 does better and in some the Pixel 6 Pro does better, but overall I would choose the S22 as the one that records videos better. So I'll let you guys watch those sample recordings and I will be right back. Next, we are moving on to a quick recording done with the main cameras on the back of the S22 and of course the Pixel 6 Pro. For this recording I'm doing 4K at 60 frames per second. This is the maximum recording resolution available on the Pixel 6 Pro. With the Galaxy S22 you could also do 8K at 24 frames per second. At 4K at 60 frames per second both devices have image stabilization, and as you can see for yourself, I am walking now and I'm also trying to keep the phones as steady as possible. We're gonna start running just so you can see how that stabilization works. And I guess we're gonna stop somewhere around here. We're gonna pan right slowly. And this way basically. And back left towards the road. So yeah. Main cameras 4K at 60 frames per second with the Samsung Galaxy S22 and the Pixel 6 Pro. We are moving on to our next recording with the main cameras on the back of the S22 and of course the Pixel 6 Pro. For this recording I'm doing 4K at 30 frames per second, and once again at this resolution we do get image stabilization on both devices. We're gonna walk to the left here. We are basically going towards that flower there. Don't think you can see it quite yet, but we'll get there in a second. We have a combination of sunshine and shade here. So let me get close to this flower. And I guess we'll go this way for a bit. We'll stop and we'll pan right. All the way basically. And walk a bit this way. So yeah, this is our recording done with the main cameras on the back of the S22 and of course the Pixel 6 Pro would look like if you're recording in 4K at 30 frames per second. We are moving on to our next recording between the S22 and the Pixel 6 Pro. For this recording I'm using the ultra-wide lenses on the back of the two devices. Now here with the ultra-wide lenses, the Pixel 6 Pro can only record at 4K at 30 frames per second. Of course this is the resolution that we are currently doing, 4K at 30 frames per second for that ultra-wide camera. With the Samsung Galaxy S22 you could record at a higher resolution. We'll walk this way for a bit. So kind of towards the sun in a way, but we're gonna stop somewhere around here and we'll pan right. So we'll walk onto the road and we'll pan right. So yeah, ultra-wide camera, 4K at 30 frames per second with the S22 and the Pixel 6 Pro. For our first video in low light between the S22 and the Pixel 6 Pro, I am using the main cameras and recording in 4K at 30 frames per second. Both devices could also do 4K at 60 frames per second. So we're gonna walk this way. It gets dark around here. And here I can see a bit more on the screen of the Pixel 6 Pro, but we'll have to see how this footage actually looks on the computer. And we're gonna walk this way where we have a bit more light. Guess we're gonna stop somewhere around here. We'll go this way. Again, it gets a bit darker around here. And back towards the light. So yeah, this is how recording down the main cameras on the back of these two devices would look like at night. And we are moving on to our next recording in low light between the S22 and of course the Pixel 6 Pro. For this recording we are doing 4K at 30 frames per second and using the ultra-wide cameras on the back of the two devices. I'm gonna stop somewhere around here, I guess. We'll pan right slowly. The image is definitely brighter on the Pixel 6 Pro, at least on the screen of the Pixel 6 Pro. We'll have to see how this actually looks when I check it out on the computer. So yeah, this is how recording done with the ultra-wide cameras on the back of the two devices, recording in 4K at 30 frames per second would look like. So what do you guys think about those sample videos? Do you prefer the S22 or the Pixel 6 Pro? Definitely leave a comment down below and let me know. Next we're gonna move on and check out some selfies, and we're starting with some daytime selfies, even though I didn't take those selfies in the most ideal conditions, but overall it seems that the Samsung Galaxy S22 does better for the daytime selfies, and the same kind of goes for those nighttime selfies. So the nighttime selfies are also a bit sharper from the S22. So even for selfies I feel that the S22 does better. So there you have it. It seems that the Galaxy S22 does better for most things when compared to the Pixel 6 Pro. So the Pixel devices used to be some of the best for taking pictures. Well, that's kind of changing and it's not the case anymore. Alright guys, hopefully this video was useful. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.